celebrating its 50th season. This is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner.
And the crowd roared. You going to do that crowd roar thing again? There you go. Week 11 of the high school football season, the final edition of the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program for this year, our 50th season.
Wow. Can you believe it?
Amazing.
It's
and
over.
First week of the playoffs. And
Yeah,
boy, do we have
exciting. Some exciting games last night.
Telling you. Let's get to the scoreboard right away. District 6 Class A, first round action last night. United Purchase Line, 14-6 in overtime.
Terrific.
Oh,
Terrific. Man. You were there, so you have more to add to that.
Well, you talk about hard knocks that night.
It's hard to beat a team twice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Purchase Line proved that last night. Great effort by the Dragons.
Speaking of great efforts, Homer Center shuts out Bishop McCourt 21-0 without their leading rusher.
Yeah, there's a lot of doubt that game was going to go the way it did, but Homer's defense played very well. The field cooperated, slowed down the Crushers, and the rest pretty much history. Some great plays by Ben Schmidt.
So the Wildcats and the Lions move on in the Class A playoffs. In AA, the two Rams up at the top, and they both came up big winners last night. Richland defeating West Branch 61-7.
Wow.
Ligonier Valley 41, Marion Center nothing. They'll both move on in the District 6 playoffs.
As expected.
We don't pay all that much attention to AAA anymore because got nobody there. Bald Eagle area in AAA defeating Huntington 47-27. District 5, just because we're interested in those schools from the Westpac that are playing there. Class A, Shade 44-8 over Winburn. You had Winburn last week.
Yeah, we saw Shade too, and that didn't surprise me. Shade, much better team than we saw against Ligonier Valley. We said against Class A competition, they're going to be a force.
And indeed they were last night. The AA semifinals, Chestnut Ridge with a 49-7 win over Berlin Brothers Valley last night. And just because we can, let's go to District 9 Class A. Kerwinsville, a 26-0 shutout of Elk County Catholic. 6 games in the eastern half of the state were postponed to today because of the torrential downpours.
I can't imagine that.
Games in District 1, 2, 3, and 11. All postponing games until today. Now, here is the schedule for today. District 6, AAA. Westmont Hilltop, Forest Hills. That's a 3-2 matchup at Forest Hills. Should be a good football game. District 6, AA. Tonight, West Shamokin at Bellwood Antis.
That's an interesting game.
West Shamokin, number 6 seed. Out of the Heritage Conference, number 3, Bellwood Antis. Southern Huntington, a 5-4 matchup there at Penns Valley tonight. Class A today, number 10 Conemaugh Valley at number 7 Claysburg Kimmel. And a game you'll hear on Cat Country 106.3 FM. 9th seed Salzburg at 8th seed Penns Manor.
Wow. That game could have some fireworks.
I'm telling you.
That's a turf field. So they've been fortunate. The Comets very fortunate to have turf.
Track shoes
Those
tonight.
Fields are just unbelievably poor right now.
District 5 Class A, number 3 seed Conemaugh Township at number 2 Tussey Mountain, and in AA, number 3 Myersdale at number 2 Everett. So what does it mean for next week? So far, this is what we have for next week. Penns Manor Salzburg winner at number 1 seed Northern Cambria on Friday. This is Class A. Claysburg Kimmel Conemaugh Valley winner next week at 2 seed Juniata Valley. Those are the 2 Friday games. Northern Cambria, Juniata Valley will host. And in Class A on Saturday, United at number 4 Portage. Homer Center at number 3 Bishop Guilfoyle.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. What an award for winning the first round game. You get Guilfoyle. But you got to go through them, so we'll see what happens.
AA semis next week. The Southern Huntington Penns Valley winner from today will play at 1 seed Richland. The West Shamokin Bellwood Antis winner plays at number 2 Ligonier Valley. Oh, some good stuff.
Yeah. Looking for Bellwood. They're going to be tough for West Shamokin, but again, this is why you play.
John McCullough, the head coach of West Shamokin, sounds pretty confident his team can more than just give him a game.
Well, I would certainly think he would. They've got a solid group of kids out there. Again, when you get into playoffs, the defenses are very important, and they do have a good defense.
You notice the relaxed feel of today's program.
Look at the smile on your face. It won't go away. I don't understand it here.
It's
only been 11 weeks.
8:05 in the morning. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program. We're back with game recaps. We've got conversations with coaches, with former coaches, with former hosts of Luther Ford Coaches Corner. All of that is on the way on this Saturday morning. And, of course, the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program on AM 1450 WDID, 100.3 FM, and the Sports Channel, directly linked at WDIDradio.com. Good morning to you. Here we go on a Saturday morning, week number 11 of the high school football season.
Logan Della Fiera understands that representatives are elected to serve all members of their community, not just a select few. He'll fight for legislation that betters the lives of every resident of the 62nd District. Logan will work to create good-paying local jobs, lower taxes, and will fight for our schools. He'll advocate for your health care because he understands that that is a right. And most importantly, he'll always put people first. Logan Della Fiera will work for you as your next state representative.
Paid for by Friends of Logan Della Fiera.
The effect of opioids on our families is devastating, yet there is hope. The Indiana Regional Medical Center presents Stop the Heartbreak in a Bottle on Tuesday, November 13th at 6 p.m. at the Rustic Lodge in Indiana. Learn how to keep yourself and your family safe from opioids and discover some non-opiate alternatives to managing your pain. The keynote speaker will be Dr. Jonathan Scholl, the medical director of the IRMC Center for Spine and Pain Management. You will also hear from Dr. Donna Balewick, the medical director of IRMC's Bork Emergency Center, District Attorney Pat Doherty, State Police Trooper Clifford Greenfield, Sheriff Robert Fyock, and Cammie Anderson from the Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission. There will also be an on-site prescription drug take-back at the event. This is a free seminar, but seating is limited, so please call 357-8088 today. That's 357-8088. Stop the Heartbreak in a Bottle on Tuesday, November 13th at 6 p.m. at the Rustic Lodge in Indiana. The Indiana Regional Medical Center, always great care.
It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDID, 100.3 FM, and the Sports Channel, directly linked at WDIDradio.com. You can also get it by going to the Trib Live High School Sports Network, and that is directly linked there. However you'll want to do it to listen on your computer this morning as we get underway with week number 11 and the playoffs. And, Ward, it was difficult to decide where to start today. Purchase Line United or Homer Center Bishop McCourt?
Either one. We got to govern them both, huh?
All right, let's go to PL and United. This happened at Andy Kosneski Field at Indiana Senior High last night, and what a game it was. My goodness. Purchase Line really came out on fire. The Red Dragons wanting to stand up to the United Lions, and they did. Remember a couple of weeks ago, United thrashed them just a couple of weeks ago.
That's why I said it's hard to beat a team twice.
Purchase Line got a good kickoff return by Cameron Yoder. He was terrific all night long for the Red Dragons. And they started at their 45-yard line. Pushed the ball up the field on a 55-yard drive aided by good fortune. A 4th and 4 run by Yoder. He was stopped a yard short, but he fumbled the football ahead where Colin Goncher fell on it for a first down at the United 17. It would have been United ball. But nope, the Red Dragons kept it, and 2 plays later, Josh Seister ran untouched into the end zone from 14 yards out. Terrific blocking. This game was played between the tackles all night long. There was hardly anything outside. The 2-point conversion run failed, though. 6-0 Dragons, 6:34 left in the first quarter. That was a 12-play, 55-yard drive that chewed up 6:34 of the clock. Just the sort of drive Purchase Line wanted. Matt Felicic, the head coach, he told me before the game, he said, our best defense tonight just might be a ball control offense. I want to get the football and keep it.
Well, you get a lead. I always that was one of the keys I said last night is you want to be playing ahead, especially in conditions like this, because you're no guarantees here with the weather the way it is, and you get ahead. It makes it a little easier for you.
United answers an 11-play drive from the 35, longest play of which was only 7 yards. But the Lions were stopped on 4th down at the Red Dragon 33 on the first play of the second quarter. Ball control. Each team had the ball once in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, we had that situation as well. But
And congratulations, Hunter Cameron of United on that first possession, passed the all-time career rushing single-season record for United.
wow.
And we'll tell you
Good
about
for
that
him.
a little bit later. Purchase Line then embarks on a 14-play drive highlighted by 2 big runs by Yoder, 15 and 13 yards. But that's one of the stories of this football game is a 15-yard run and a 13-yard run qualify as big runs.
Yes.
The defenses were tough last night. Seister is stopped short of the first down at the United 6-yard line, and the Lions take over. Scoring opportunity lost there for the Red Dragons. Hunter Cameron gains 10 on first down, but 3 plays later, United has to punt. And despite Eli Clevenger's booming spiral, he drove him all the way back close to the 30-yard line. He punted from his 5. Yoder tracks it down. He returns it to the 50. And after facing 4th down and 9 at the Lions 34, Purchase Line punts to inside the 1. Half is winding down. United couldn't make any headway, but they avoided the safety because they were inside the 1-yard line. And on first down, Kyle Silk was stopped for nothing. At the half, 6-0 Red Dragons. So Purchase Line kicked off twice in this game. They kicked it out of bounds both times. I don't know that they were avoiding the Lions' return men, but I think it's probably a pretty good bet. They would be perfectly content giving the United the ball at the 35-yard line, which they did to start the third quarter. 12 plays, 6 minutes and 19 seconds, 65 yards later, Kyle Silk punches it into the end zone from a yard out on 1st and goal to tie the game. But Silk was tackled short of the goal line in the conversion. 6-6 with 7:41 left in the third. Important on a 4th down and short. Silk got 8 yards, and they got the first down at about the 30-yard line. Next possession, United drives it to the Red Dragons' 8-yard line, but they were stopped there. Pinned deep in their end, the Dragons throw long on 3rd and 12. Dawson Brenner intercepts in one of those good as a punt plays. They get it at the Purchase Line 40, but the Lions can't do anything with that field position. They punt it away. Ball rolls into the end zone. Now the Dragons' turn to miss a scoring chance. They drive it to the Lions' 10-yard line. Big 39-yard pass play to Cameron Yoder on that play. That drive, I should say. But a holding penalty, couple of losses. They force PL to give the ball back at the United 12. Regulation time ends. It forces overtime. Both teams left some points out there on the field last night.
Curious they didn't kick. Kyle Silk can really kick from placement, and I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Well, and your son Mark was, of course, our color commentator on U92 last night. He remarked on that as well. But Kyle Silk hasn't been doing kicking lately. I don't know if it's the hamstring.
Oh, that's right. He did have an injury.
I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, we had him with the field goal in the Salzburg game. But no, they did not try. So first play of overtime, and Silk breaks a tackle off the left side on the first play. He sprints into the end zone for the score, and the Purchase Line knocks him down after the play. Personal foul. And so that means the 2-point conversion comes from the 1.5-yard line.
Oh, wow.
And Silk punched that in. So it's now 14-6, and the Red Dragons have to score twice now. They start at the 10, of course, in overtime. Here's their possession. First down from the 10. Colin Gonchar, he makes basically the same run that Silk did, but he gets down to the 3-yard line, and as he's being tackled, the ball is punched out of his hands.
No.
And it rolls back and out of bounds at the 8. So it ends up being a 2-yard gain for Purchase Line. They still have their proverbial destiny in their hands. Seister gains 3 to the 5. Quarterback Jacob Barnett follows Gonchar for 2 to the 3-yard line. So it's 4th down from the 3. Gonchar tries the left side again. United wins that battle at the line of scrimmage. This was between the tackles last night, it was brutal. Stop him for a loss. The game is over. United wins it 14-6. Hunter Cameron, 112 tough yards in the game. He breaks Brent Mack's all-time single-season United rushing record with 1,605 yards.
Great for them. Kudos to Purchase Line for the effort. You know, they really struggled early in the season. They managed to put it together a little better toward the end, put up a good battle. And then the Lions, wow, what a topsy-turvy year they've been having. But Coach Marabito, he got him going in the right direction, does he not? And they're into the second round.
He absolutely does. And you're right about Purchase Line. I mean, they came out and they really carried the play through that first half. And then just the ebb and flow of the game was
good
tremendous.
Athletes on that team. I figured that would happen, but man.
All night long, good stuff. Let's talk to the coaches. made this one exciting, didn't you? This was tight the whole way. They came out and scored on you and sort of asserted themselves early, and you got knocked down and had to punch back.
Yeah, I mean, we knew coming in. I think I told you early on, this was a trap game. They come out inspired. We come out a little bit flat. They took it to us, and we had to hold on for our lives. I mean, if they would have punched another one in at the half, I don't know if we could have won this one. I mean, the credit goes to Purchase Line. I mean, they took it to us in the first half and worked hard, got things done, and we had to persevere a little bit. We had a gut check at the half, and we made a couple adjustments, and it worked for us. But a lot of credit's got to go to Purchase Line. They didn't want to pack their equipment away. As we told our kids, we don't want to pack it away either. But right now it's on to the next round.
Coach, they jammed everybody into the box. You tried to spread the field and maybe take a few guys out of there, but they were really tough, weren't they?
Oh, they played well, Todd. I mean, we knew all along we were going to be in for a dogfight. I mean, anytime you play a team twice, it's very difficult. But our kids, they ran the alleys well, caught us. I don't think we made some good blocks on the perimeter at times, but those are things you got to work on. But you got to look at what Purchase Line did to us. I mean, they took our inside run game away, and our defense had to step up tonight. I mean, defense hasn't been our strong point a lot throughout the year, but tonight I really can't be any prouder of what the defense did. I mean, they stepped up to the occasion, got the job done when we had to. I mean, it was a big stop down here in overtime when we needed it, and you never know what's going to happen. But it's what we always say. It's a team game. Whether if the offense isn't clicking, the defense has to step up. And tonight the offense wasn't clicking well, and the defense stepped up, and that's what you got to do. And when you hit this time of the playoff season.
Both teams had their opportunities in this game that didn't produce points. But really, for Purchase Line, from their standpoint, it could have been 20-0 at the half.
Yes, it could have been, Todd. Now that's what I said earlier. If our defense didn't rise to the challenge a little bit, it could have been over in the first half, and it would have been in favor of Purchase Line. I mean, they had all the momentum. We made some stops when we had to. I mean, really, if you look at it, we only had the ball maybe 4 minutes in the first half. It's not much time to get the offense clicking, and our defense had to do the job, and they did it tonight.
The drive that started the third quarter, talk about how that developed for your team. There were no great big long gains in that. It was just grinded out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, we seen at the half the way they were packing everything in. We tossed a lot more and kind of loosened them up, and it kind of got the game. But it's what we said. You can't win football games on big splash plays all the time. I mean, if you can grind it out, and if a team is moving the football on offense, your defense is. Your offense is your best defense. I mean, we finally in the second half we kept them off the field as much as we could, and they didn't have that many opportunities to score. And we just gotta keep moving.
It was a whale of a stand defensively at the end of the game.
Yes, it was. I mean, I can't be any prouder of that defense. I mean, they really stepped. They rose to the occasion, and we had that when they called that timeout when it was fourth down. We said, this is your season right here. It's how bad you want it. And the defensive line, we went into our goal line package, and they stuffed it up in there, and there was nowhere to run. I mean, our kids wanted it, and my hat's off to them. I mean, you've got to want something, and I say it all the time. When you want something bad enough, you're going to get it. And tonight I think we wanted it bad enough, and we got what we deserved.
And Hunter Cameron and the offensive line set themselves a single-season school record.
Yes, they did. I mean, this is a special group, Todd. I mean, this offensive line, they make it easy for the running backs. I mean, at times, the running backs get them, but our offensive line, they really they really move people out of the way, and it makes it easy for Hunter. I mean, and then Kyle's not too far behind, breaking a record too. So, we set some records tonight, but, that's over with, and we got to look on to the next week now.
Yeah, and next week is Portage on their field. That's always a tough task.
Yeah, I've never had much luck at Portage. I mean, all the years that I coached at Ferndale, it wasn't a lot of luck up there. So, we got to come ready. I mean, that's a tough place to play, and we gotta rise to the challenge.
Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you, Todd.
Kevin Marabito, the victorious coach last night for the United Lions, and boy, he has coached up those kids in the last half of this season, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, and I hope that has a little trickle-down effect on the student population there. Their numbers are down. He's trying to get some people interested. Winning certainly can do that. Let's hope that works out for him. Great job, though, and we kind of expected it, though, didn't we?
Yeah. When you have athletes like that, and they've got size. There were a couple of those kids last night up front. Rose, Goodland, Unkefer was tremendous last night, and on Turek He was another one. McCullough played a great game up front.
Well, it's so hard to turn losing around. Once you do, though, you get the commitment and the buy-in, and they always had talent out there, as you well know. United used to be a power, and I think that's what Kevin's trying to build them back to, because they always had those big, strong kids.
Yep, up and down the hallways, find some football players
Yep.
for next year, but you've still got this year in a game against Portage next week. Other sideline last night, yeah, it is winnable. Matt Felisic and his purchase line Red Dragons. Now, he's got a very young team. They got themselves some really valuable experience here in these last couple of weeks. And as I said before the game, they basically played a playoff game last week against Conemaugh Valley.
Yeah, they were fighting for their playoff lives at the end of the season, and that gears you up for it. And I think that's really great momentum to build on going into next year. You know, they had kind of a bad start. Hopefully, from their perspective, they can build on it, have a good practice season, preseason, and get into it early on. As I said, surprisingly, they had some great athletes that just could not win football games. Maybe they've learned how to do that now.
Absolutely. Let's hit up the coach.
Coach Matt Felisic, you have to be proud of the effort from your guys here tonight. They came out and they took it right at United.
Yeah, very proud. We talked about it. You know, I said it over and over and over again until the kids got tired of hearing me. But, man, they played with a lot of heart and a lot of desire. And, you know, I feel bad that the game turned out the way it did. But, boy, I tell you what, they gave it everything they had. They left it all on the field.
We talked before the game about what was going to be happening between the tackles, and that's really where this game was played, wasn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I said we wanted to hold the ball on our one drive. I don't know how long we held the ball. And I think 7 minutes was our 7-minute drive, somewhere around there. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. We stopped it first half. Our defense played unbelievable, holding those two guys in check. And, you know, they got a couple plays in the third quarter there and punched one in, and we battled back. We were down inside of 10 a couple of times, couldn't punch it in. And I knew if we went to overtime, it was going to be hard to stop them. Those two were just starting to beat us a little bit, Silk and Cameron Kidd.
We were talking at halftime about how United probably has to feel very fortunate to only be down a touchdown, and probably you were thinking, boy, we could really have been up by a couple of more scores, but you take the game as it comes.
Exactly, and you know, that's been a big problem for us all year long, is we get down there and then we don't punch it in, and you know, things tighten up down there. Defense is smushed up a little bit, and we got to learn to finish those drives. But hey, for the team we have, the young guys coming back, you know, they're going to be hungry for next year. So great effort tonight.
You have some great guys coming back. You have some guys you have to say goodbye to, though, and I know that's going to be tough.
Yeah, Quinn Scalise, Cameron Yoder, and Caleb Yarger are 3 seniors, and you know, they're great kids in school, out of school, on the football field. You know, watching them cry, you know, upsets the kids. Lots of kids crying in there, but they gave it everything they had. You know, they were hurting at the end, getting off the field, and you know, you're just proud of them.
Coach, talk, if you would, about the overtime. You're 6-6, and you give up the touchdown on that first play, and it looked like you had Kyle Silk bottled up there, but he's a pretty slippery guy.
Yeah, I think it was our second play, but yeah, I tell you what, we had him bottled up a lot all night, and then they'd sneak out, especially number 20 there. We'd have him bottled, and he'd shoot around for 5 or 6 yards, and then you know, we get the ball. First play, Colin runs down to, I think, the 2, and they made a great hit. I was talking to the guys upstairs, and they said the United player just got a little bit lower, popped the ball out, and rolled the whole way back to the 8. So we would have had second and goal from the 2. Instead, we're at the 8. And, you know, the last play on 4th, I think it was 4th and 2. You know, I called a timeout, asked the kids what they wanted. They called the play. And, you know, just didn't execute the way we wanted it. But, you know, I always ask the kids what they want. You know, they're the ones out in the field. Jacob, Colin, Josh, all the linemen, you know, they see what's going on. So I asked them what they wanted, and that's what they called. You know, unfortunate.
Coach, you played a playoff game last week, really, in order to get to this point, and now another playoff game here tonight. What does that do, experience-wise, for these young kids?
Oh, that's what, you know, it's great for these kids to be in the situation they're in and get this extra week of practice. We got an extra week. You know, it was nice to come in here in Indiana's field. It's beautiful. It was a fun week of practice because we knew what we got to play on Friday. We got to come in on turf, and to our kids, that's a big deal. So it was just, you know, a little different experience of opponent, I guess you could say, from last week to this week. But our kids rose the challenge, and, you know, they knew going into last week we had to win to get in. And Friday night, the Heritage Conference helped us out last week to get us in. So we're just thankful to be in, and, you know, we played a great game.
I appreciate it. Thanks for all season long.
All right, Todd, thanks for all you do for football. Do a great job in there.
And our thanks to Matt Felicic for being with us all season long. All of our coaches through the Heritage Conference, and of course, Indiana High coach Brandon Overdorf. Ran into Brandon at the game last night, not literally because he had the knee surgery, so I figured don't want to knock him down.
It's the kind of year he's had.
It was great to see him, though, and he was there at Andy Kosneski Field, of course, the former Purchase Line coach, the former Purchase Line star football player, wanting to see the Red Dragons.
Yeah, and he's, he almost got the Little Indians into a playoff there, and that I would have really loved to have seen that. I think he's the right guy for the job up here. I just hope everybody perseveres a little bit and gives him an opportunity to get that program going in the right direction.
There you go. Indeedy. All righty. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program. We had 2 other playoff games last night. We'll be talking about them. We have conversations coming up with a couple of former coaches who were there for the origins of the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program 50 years ago. And the guy who originated the program itself, Jack Benedict, will be joining us this morning.
Oh, wow.
All of that here on the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450, WDAD, 100.3 FM, and the Sports Channel, directly linked at WDADradio.com.
There's a lot to like about the 2018 Ford Focus at Luther Ford in Homer City.
As a matter of fact, what's not to like?
Safety's important, and the Ford Focus is ahead of the class with 5-star IIHS safety ratings.
If prices are killing you at the pump, you'll also like 34 MPG Highway.
And if affordability's an issue, Luther Ford has you covered there as well.
Just announced, get 0% APR for 60 months, plus you'll receive $1,000 Ford credit bonus cash.
And if you like leasing, you'll love this. Lease a 2018 Ford Focus SE for only $169 a month for 36 months with just $19.29 cash due at signing.
You heard right. $169 a month for 36 months with only $19.29 due at signing.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
For all offers, take new retail delivery from Luther Ford by January 2nd.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
Open late till 8, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
And open 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
This is Senator Don White. On Tuesday, I'm urging you to vote for Jim Struzzi for state representative. Jim is possibly the most qualified first-time candidate I've seen here in the county. His professional and personal experiences gave him the right background necessary to hit the ground running. Whether it's job creation, workforce development, or property tax reform, Struzzi will fight for the issues important to us. Please join me, Senator Don White, in voting for Jim Struzzi on November 6th.
Paid for by the Friends of Jim Struzzi. Grand Beginnings Children's Center would like to announce they are enrolling children at both of their locations, South Bend Franklin Road and Grandview Avenue in Indiana. Grand Beginnings Children's Center accepts children from birth through 5th grade. Grand Beginnings Children's Center is a Keystone Star 4 center, the highest ranking among Keystone Star facilities. And they have a PA Pre-K Counts classroom. They're open Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Visit grandbeginnings.net or schedule an appointment to find out more.
The Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDAD 100.3 FM, and directly linked. If you want to listen on your computer, just go to WDADradio.com. Last night, Memorial Field in Homer City. Mark Burdig, I was driving home. My game was well over, even though I had overtime before yours.
Is that curious? Well, I don't think about what's the surprise. We're the last ones out of there every time we're there.
My game was well over before yours.
You had overtime.
My broadcast and my coach's interviews and a stop for dinner, they were all over before your broadcast ended.
You're just not thorough enough. That's your problem.
But did I hear correctly, Mark saying, and maybe he'll say it in this coach's interview, that Homer Center is 8-0 in playoff action on Memorial Field?
On Memorial Field, yeah. They're 1-7 away. And I said, well, I had my opinion on that is simply that when you're away, you're playing the higher seed. Mm-hmm. And you should be the underdog, and most chances you're going to lose the way this is set up because those higher seeds are generally a little bit better. And so they're 1-7 away, but they're undefeated on the Memorial Field, and they continued that trend last night.
And that 1-7, that doesn't include neutral field play, correct?
No, he had a record for that, too. He has a record for everything, back to 1923 or something.
Well, there you go. There you go.
It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. The playoffs, if you don't enjoy playoffs, then you don't enjoy football. It's a great time.
All righty, let's get Mark Verdig's recap of last night's Homer Center Bishop McCourt District 6 Class A playoff game.
The Homer Center Wildcats have never lost a playoff game here at Memorial Field, and they stayed perfect with a 21-0 victory over the Bishop McCourt Crimson Crushers. The Wildcats have won their last 4 playoff games here at home by way of shutout, and they did it again as they remained perfect, and they got out of the gate quickly on their first possession after they forced a 3-and-out for Bishop McCourt. Homer started at their own 4-yard line. Deshaun Robinson subbing for the injured Logan Williams as the Wildcats offense was delivered a big blow this week, losing their star running back to a lower body injury. And Deshaun Robinson had to step in, and the sophomore did a great job. First of all, he punched them out of the hole on a couple of carries. Wildcats picked up a couple of first downs. They had the football at their own 27-yard line when sophomore quarterback Ben Schmidt scored the only points of the first half. Schmidt's going to keep it. Schmidt through an opening, comes near side 30 to the 35, 40, first down up the sideline, 50, down the sideline to the 30, to the 25, 20, trying to get the angle on him, and Schmidt takes it to the house. Oh my goodness, what a run by Schmidt. 73 yards for a touchdown, and the Wildcats draw first blood 6-0 over the Bishop McCourt Crimson Crushers. Quite a run by Schmidt. 6-play, 96-yard drive. Took a minute 34. 2 minutes and 3 seconds into the game, it was 6-0, but Schmidt's extra point was wide left. Caught his breath, or he tried to, but the kick missed. And that's the way the game stayed until the second half. Although Homer Center had the football at the McCourt 4 as time ran out because of a bad exchange, and Homer Center did not have any timeouts, and the clock hit zeros before the Wildcats could adds to the 6-0 lead. So we start the second half. Wildcats start at their own 38-yard line. They move the football into McCourt territory, but a bad snap again caused a loss in the muddy conditions. Then a intentional grounding penalty backed them up to the 36-yard line. They ended up punting. McCourt with some their best drive of the game. It started at the 16. They hit a 3rd and 6. And then Miller ran for 10 yards to Homer Center's 36-yard line. Then after a penalty, they were faced with 4th and 13. And one of the key plays in the game, Ward Hilliard, was a pass from William Miller to a wide-open Amir Andrews on that 4th and 13. He was 5 yards behind the secondary in the middle of the end zone. Hit him in the wrong spot.
It looked like it hit him in the face mask, but I think that ball got on him before he was ready, Mark, and just didn't get his hands on it at all. What a break.
So they could have tied it, maybe taken the lead with the extra point, but instead they turn it over on downs. The Wildcats then start at the 27-yard line. And boy, did they hit some big plays on what turned out to be an 11-play, 73-yard drive. 3rd and 9. Pass from Schmidt to Ciani to Homer Center's 37-yard line. Then a bad exchange and a fumble, but the Wildcats 3rd and 13, no problem. Pass to Kobe Doherty for 25 yards as Doherty tonight broke a record, single-season reception record of 41 receptions. Kobe passed that here tonight. Then Schmidt, a 29-yard run to Bishop McCourt's 11-yard line, and then they brought in the jumbo set, and Trevor Malacker, the fullback, got the carry. And they give it to Malacker. Malacker, did he get in? No signal yet. Now there is one. Touchdown, Homer Center Wildcats. Trevor Malacker plows in like a ground mole in the mud here at Memorial Field. That's a big mole, isn't it? It's 12-0 Homer Center with 6:58 remaining in the football game. That's the way you do it. You give it to the big guy, Trevor Malacker, and he takes it in. He said, give me that football. So they come out with an offset eye behind Ben Schmidt, who goes under center. Senior Tyler Dunn. And Schmidt, quick toss. Now they flip to Kobe Doherty. He throws back to Ben Schmidt, wide open in the end zone. I thought Halloween was over. It's back. Trick or treat on Lincoln and Harrison Street. And the trick works for 2 points. That's the treat for Homer Center. And it's 14-0 Wildcats. You like that?
I thought that was pretty good. That's what I was laughing about.
Well, the big
What a
plays,
play to...
third, yeah, that was some trickery, beautifully designed, but the big third down conversion's the difference on that drive.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you keep in mind, too, Ben hit Jake Sayani on a couple big plays across the middle.
So McCourt got the ball back after that two-point conversion, trailing 14-0. They had a 3rd and 10. Jacob Zeiler, timely, his first interception of the season. Wildcats got the ball back, drove it down, and put the finishing touches on a shutout playoff victory. And the give to Mock. Mock dancing around, and he's going to take it to the left corner of the end zone for a touchdown. Hey, outstanding running by Garrett Mock, and he scores from 4 yards out to put the finishing touches on a 20-0 lead for now, and a victory for Homer Center in the opening round of these playoffs. Hey, that was good running by Mock. It certainly was his second touchdown in as many weeks. Schmidt added the extra point to put the finishing touches on a 21-0 victory. Robinson, 110 yards rushing, subbing for Logan Williams. Ben Schmidt, 144. And Homer Center wins it 21-0.
All right, Mark, thank you for that recap. And then after the game, of course, the Wildcats and their head coach, Greg Page, and our Wildcats interview brought to you by Albaz of Homer City and by Forged Human Performance Center here this morning on the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program on AM 1450 WDAD and 100.3 FM. Unfortunately, I do not see their spots within the system, so maybe that was just a 10-game package. At any rate, let's get to the head coach of the Wildcats, Greg Page.
Coach, congratulations. Adverse conditions, but the guys came through adversity in more ways than one. The weather, and you learned yesterday officially that you're going to be without your starting tailback, Logan Williams, who has done a lot of the heavy lifting this year. It wasn't easy, but you got the job done.
No, it wasn't. I mean, first off, I credit Coach Bazile. I mean, that's one of the better under 500 teams you'll see, and we knew that. And, you know, they have a good quarterback, too, and I think this limited him. But I give all the credit in the world to our assistant coaches and our kids. You know, when you lose a good piece of your puzzle, that can hurt people, but our kids they weren't fazed. And that was a good thing because we needed to have a good, strong effort, and we did from so many people. So just proud of both of those groups of guys. I mean, it makes us look good. But, again, credit to McCourt. It was a tough, hard-fought game.
Certainly was. It was anybody's game into the fourth quarter. Monday and Tuesday, you're without Williams. The injury suffered at Winber last week. I think he took a helmet to the calf and had some numbness all the way down into the foot.
Right.
And then Wednesday, he tries to go at practice. Maybe a play or two has to come off the practice field. And then you learn really, yesterday, that he was officially out. Talk about that, how the news was delivered to the team. Obviously, they reacted very well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that's a staple of our program that, you know, we have people that we obviously rely on pretty heavily. But I think the kids have faith in the coaching staff, and they have faith in each other. I know he was, when he got the news, he was group chatting with the football team, and he said, you know, he was in a boot indefinitely, and and I got word of that, and it's disappointing. It is, and I kind of thought that was going to be the case Wednesday when he couldn't go a whole lot in practice. But you know what? As coaches, you have to put the face on, and we just, you know, we went to the next play. Deshaun, go ahead in there. And you have to do it that way. I mean, you have to show your kids that you know, you have faith in the team, and so many guys came through tonight.
Now Logan was treated some more and has made progress. The good news is maybe the most significant progress in the past day or two, and I know because his dad works for me that he felt a lot better today. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but would there be an outside chance if the recovery continues he could be back next week?
I would hope so. And again, tonight, in these kind of conditions, and you have a leg injury, that's not real ideal anyway. Next week we're playing on turf. We're going to try to get a few practices on turf. So, you know, it could be a better possibility just because of those factors. And so, you know, we'll hope for that. I mean, he's been great for us. He really has. I mean, he's kind of came out of nowhere, and we knew he had ability. But, again, we have guys confident. I mean, you know, Deshaun saw us. We were calm from the middle of the week, and we said, hey, okay, you're going to get some carries. Here's some of the packages we're going to run. And, boy, he came out like gangbusters, and the guys up front were excited for him to get a chance.
Yeah, you started your first drive at your own 4, and Deshaun, boy, he punched it out for you, didn't he, on 2 carries?
Yeah, and that's big. And, again, it's, teams know in those situations what we're going to do. We're at our own 4 in muddy conditions. You're going to get a loaded box, and our guys came off the football for the most part.
Well, at the end of the first half, you had a chance, and I talked about it at times this year, and a couple of the losses, you had chances for knockout punches, and you couldn't come through, and it kind of reared its ugly head there again at the end of the first half. I told our sideline reporter, Nick Schmidt, don't feel bad, as the coach stormed and blew you off as he stormed into the locker room.
I didn't even see him. Then I saw him in the third quarter, and I thought to myself, I thought you were supposed to interview me, but I didn't say anything. So I didn't see him, honestly. I was kind of fired up, and that whole thing was all of us. I mean, we got word late that Kobe got out of bounds, so the clock would not start. But even so, with 8 seconds left on a first down, we're telling Ben, okay, just to be safe, just clock it, just kill it, spike it. And he was making that motion, but then the snap was kind of tough, and then I think he just tried to take it himself, and of course that didn't work out. Our guys tried to stop the clock for a few seconds up here, but that didn't work either. So, you go in there thinking you lost an opportunity, and that's, one-score game, it's anybody's game.
Well, certainly their first possession, after they stopped you when you drove into their territory, I thought they were playing with a little bit of fire. They drove into your territory, but penalty hurt them. They had a 4th and 13. However, early in the fourth quarter, a pass play to a wide-open Amir Andrews. Your heart had to sink there, but then he dropped the football.
I mean, we can't let people get behind us, especially 4th and 13. I'm watching the ball in the air, and I tell you the truth, the only thing I was thinking was, just don't catch it. And he did, and I feel bad for the kid. I know he's a young kid. I think he's a sophomore, and we've seen him on tape a couple games. He's got good athletic ability. That's a tough situation for there, and then we get the ball back, and we're able to move the ball down the field.
Well, yeah, and a couple of huge third-down conversions on pass plays to Siani and also to Kobe Doherty. Ben really hung in the pocket and delivered some beautiful balls.
He did, yeah. And, it's hard to run a lot of the things that we've worked on in these conditions. You try to stay with things that aren't going to require too many cuts with your receivers, too much time for your line to have to protect. That's a play that's worked well for us. I'm sure it's getting scouted. But, in these situations, your playbook is kind of limited. So those were opportunities we had, and Ben made good throws, and we made good catches, too.
Hey, by the way, 2-point conversion pass, beautiful. Little trick-or-treat 2 days after Halloween at Lincoln and Harrison, as I called it on the radio.
We saw that a couple weeks ago. I think the Eagles ran it.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl. Yep.
Yeah. And, of course, on TV, when they run it and the guy's wide open, you're like, oh, we can run that. So typical me, I'm going to practice something 2-3 weeks before we use it. And Mike said something to me, Mike Arone. I said, do you want to show it? Because now it's on tape. And he goes, who gives a crap, So we show it, or we run it, and everything worked out well.
All right. It certainly did work out well. What's with the home field magic? I guess, the higher seeds, you would be a favorite, but you've won all 8 playoff games here at Memorial Field.
I mean, what else can you say? I've heard the comment center of the universe, which we're looking right out here at the 50-yard line by several alumni, and it's just, to me, it's just one of the best places you could have a high school football game. I'm sorry, I know I'm biased, but it was in full force tonight.
Well, you'll go back to what was one of the most historic victories in the history of Homer Center football and Pennsylvania football last year when you defeated Bishop McCourt, ending the 3-time state Guilfoyle, Guilfoyle's 3-time reign as state champion, a 59-game winning streak. One of the biggest upsets in the history of Pennsylvania high school football. Back to Mansion Park to face the Marauders again.
Yeah, and they're real good again. I know they have a couple losses, but I'm sure this whole situation from last year is going to stick in their mind. I get that. We're playing on their home field, and the stakes aren't quite as high, but it's do or die like it is in any round of the playoffs. I have a lot of respect for Coach Wheeler and what they've done. They've lost a lot of quality people over the last 2 seasons. But yet they've got good football players, and they've got nice size, and they execute very well. So for us, I mean, it's just a matter of let's enjoy the weekend. As coaches, we need to prepare the best we can. It's obviously not the same 2 teams playing this year as it was last year, but we're going to go up there and be prepared and give it our best shot.
Coach, you're 7-4. More importantly, you're 1-0 in the playoffs. And I know you talked about Logan Snapchatting. Nobody Snapchats better than Coach Greg Page.
I don't have it. I'm lucky I can send a group text, so I send it to 4 or 5 of our guys and say, you guys Snapchat this out, because my daughters would have no patience to try to teach me, I can tell you that.
All right.
So there's no sense even trying it.
All right, well, we've solved that. Coach,
right.
Congratulations on a big victory.
Thank you guys very much.
There's Greg Page, the head coach of the Homer Center Wildcats, probably up Snapchatting this morning. Kennedy probably took him aside and said, Dad, let me take care of this for you.
Yeah, don't ever bring my name up again in an interview. But, an opportunity arose there for Deshaun Robinson, and, boy, he stepped up big time.
How about that?
He had a great game. I talked to him after the game. I said, young man, you're going to have a bright future here. A lot of people, myself included, were concerned. That's not going to look good with Logan Williams out, but he had an opportunity. He stepped right in there. He has running back skills. That's something that most football guys know what I'm talking about.
I heard you say that on the post game. Some guys you can look at and you can watch them run 1 or 2 times and say that kid has running back skills.
Yeah, he had them, and I know a little bit about that. That's something that he displayed last night, and it really lifted that team. And you could see the energy as a result of him having some success. The whole team was working hard for him. So that worked well. And then, of course, Ben played his usual game, big runs for Ben Schmidt. You have to have all of that to win a playoff game, and they rose to the occasion last night. It was nice to see. Of course, the reward is Bishop Guilfoyle again, but hey, that's always a chance.
Homer Center has to battle its way through the Bishops here. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450, WDAD 100.3 FM, and also directly linked at WDADradio.com if you want to listen on your computer to the sports channel. And we are going to come back and take a different sort of turn here this morning, as we'll hear from a couple of veteran coaches who were there when the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program began as simply the Coaches Corner program with Jack Benedict back in 1969. Mark Burdig had a chance to sit down with 2 of these legendary coaches. And remember, a few years ago, we did a program, a Coaches Corner program, where we had all but one of the original coaches with us. One had passed away by that time. Several others have gone on since that time as well. But 2 of them were here the other day in the studio with Mark Burdig, and we're going to listen to them next, reminiscing about the old days. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDID 100.3 FM, and the sports channel at WDADradio.com.
SUV season's in full swing at Luther Ford, and Ford and Luther Ford have just released amazing deals on America's top-selling brand.
Always unstoppable Ford SUVs. And with the fall season upon us, and I dare say winter not far behind, now's the time to take delivery on a new Ford SUV.
Just announced during SUV season, get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2018 Ford Escape, plus $2,000 in additional savings. Includes $500 Ford bonus cash, $500 Conquest cash, and $1,000 in additional Ford credit bonus cash.
You can also lease a 2018 Ford Escape SE 4-wheel drive for just $219 a month for 36 months with $2,629 due at signing.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for red carpet lease or Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
See the Escape and the complete lineup of SUVs in Ford Tough Trucks during SUV season at Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
And remember, shop 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
Logan Della Fiera understands that representatives are elected to serve all members of their community, not just a select few. He'll fight for legislation that betters the lives of every resident of the 62nd District. Logan will work to create good-paying local jobs, lower taxes, and will fight for our schools. He'll advocate for your health care because he understands that that is a right. And most importantly, he'll always put people first. Logan Della Fiera will work for you as your next state representative.
Paid for by Friends of Logan Della Fiera.
So you're finding it more difficult to ignore that unexplained pain in your gut or groin? It could be a hernia, and there is something you can do about it. The Indiana Regional Medical Center will have a free hernia screening and seminar on Monday, November 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the 4th floor family waiting room. IRMC physicians will discuss the importance of diagnosing a hernia, the risks of leaving a hernia untreated, and the latest robotic technology for hernia repair. And there will be free hernia screenings as well. During robotic hernia surgery, your doctor is sitting right beside you, operating tiny surgical instruments through a few very small incisions. Recovery time is usually much shorter, and most patients report feeling little or no pain within a week or two. Seating is limited, so call today, 724-357-7188 for this free event. Again, it's Monday, November 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the 4th floor family waiting room. Call 357-7188 today. The Indiana Regional Medical Center, always great care.
The Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDID, 100.3 FM, and on the sports channel at WDIDradio.com. Good morning to you. We're still in the first half of action here today. We have one more playoff game to cover from last night, Ligonier Valley Marion Center, and then we'll have the setup for next week's games. We have a conversation with Jack Benedict, the original host of Coaches Corner. Today is the final program of the 50th season.
That's hard to believe.
Of Coach's Corner.
That is hard to believe. You don't look a day over 49, but it's amazing. 50 years this program has been on the air.
I'm trying to decide if that's a compliment or not.
It is a compliment.
All righty. Well, Mark Burdig had a chance to sit down with a couple of the coaches who were original coaches on the Coach's Corner program all the way back in 1969. And have you taken a guess yet as to who they might be?
Well, I would have thought Ernie Woodmar, and then you told me the other one. I was struggling with that. I thought it might have been Ron Coleman. Turns out to be Bernie McCowan.
Yeah, we had Ron Coleman earlier this season
he
on
was
Coach's
on
Corner.
I heard a little sidebar with him, too. So that's going back.
All right, so let's hear Mark Burdig sitting down in the studio with Bernie McCowan and Ernie Woodmar.
Thank you, Todd. And I know a few weeks ago we had Ron Coleman, the longtime successful coach at Homer Center that came to Indiana County the same time Jack Benedict brought the Coach's Corner concept to Indiana County with him from Connellsville. And now we have two more legendary coaches that started out with Jack back in 1969, although they both started their coaching careers at their respective schools the same year, 1966. So then in 1969 they became a part of Coach's Corner, and then they both retired from their respective schools in 1986. We have Indiana Little Indians coach Bernie McCowan and also Ernie Woodmar from the Blairsville Bobcats. First of all, Ernie, congratulations to you. Wonderful gesture, the Blairsville-Salzburg School District voting to rename Memorial Stadium Ernie Woodmar Field at Memorial Stadium. How did you feel? Tell us about how you found out. I know off mic it was kind of interesting, the story you told me.
Yes, it was Wednesday morning. The phone rang, and I pick it up. And usually I'm thinking about somebody wants me to buy something or send money. And it was Coach DeTore saying congratulations. And I said to the coach, I said, Ab, what did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. And he said, hey, congratulations on becoming the new name on the football field that we played on and we coached at. And I said, well, thank you very much. It was like a balm out of the sky. I did not expect it. I did not promote it. I did not do anything, but I would really like to thank the Blairsville-Salzburg School Board and anybody that had things to do with it. I'm very proud of that memorial.
Well, yeah, it's a wonderful tribute to you for a successful career. Bernie, as I mentioned, you both start in 1966 at your respective schools, and then along comes Jack Benedict, who was a part of the Indiana program as the play-by-play guy. Ray Goss involved for many years, too, and Jack brings this Coach's Corner idea, and we asked Ron Coleman about it several weeks ago. What were your thoughts when that show was introduced?
Well, I kind of had reservations because it was going to be on Saturday morning, and I usually practice Saturday morning. So it was kind of a thing I had to make some adjustments to, but I was able to do it. But it really became a part of Indiana County and a great part. It got a chance for us coaches to get together, number one, and just talk football. And also it gave us a chance to compare programs. And like most coaches, we steal from each other. So if there was something good that Ernie Woodmar's doing in Blairsville, we're going to adopt it in Indiana somewhere along the line. So it was a great move by Jack, and was something we used every year, and it was certainly a plus for Indiana County.
Are you surprised 50 years later it's still going strong?
Yeah, I really am, and I still listen to it now. Before I go to the college, I listen to listen to the program.
All right, and amazingly, it's only had three hosts, Jack Benedict, Chuck Clark, and now Todd Marino, and all three are still doing play-by-play for us on Friday nights. So you guys had long tenures. Coach's Corner has been fortunate as well with only three guys hosting it all these years.
It's been a plus, there's no question about it, Mark. It's something that I think all the coaches feel the same way. And as I say, some of the smaller schools, you never get a chance to meet those coaches, only on the Coach's Corner.
What about you, Ernie, when Jack first called you and say, hey, would you like to be part of this thing?
I believed in it since I was the first time there, because I was never used to talking on the radio or anything, so this was all new to me. So I was a little nervous of what I would say, and a lot of times people would say, oh, you named the wrong kid or something. But, hey, I made through it for all these years, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened to Indiana County football.
Well, when people said they were mispronouncing names, you knew people were listening to you, right?
That's exactly right, you know.
And I thought, and I still do, that the exposure that we are able, I guess maybe self-promotion here, to give the student-athletes, that's really, I think, what Jack had in mind. Let's find ways to promote our student-athletes and our programs and our small school programs, as Bernie alluded to.
I think this is one of the big things that came out of it. I hear names, I read them in a paper, and then you hear about them on the radio on Coach's Corner, and it makes you feel like you really know that youngster, or if you happen to go see a game that they participate in, you can feel comfortable in seeing them and seeing them perform.
Ernie, you told us off mic, I'm going to share this story. Maybe it's a good thing that this is Bernie from Indiana, who you didn't have to coach against, of course, him playing at a larger school. And I didn't bring in Ron Coleman with you. We might have had a fist fight in here. I don't know, because that was a big rivalry. And Ron, during his interview, mentioned you. Off mic, you mentioned Ron, so now you can mention him on mic. The only coach you said you had a losing record against.
As far as I know, and I checked it out, and I came up with the idea that Ron Coleman had me on the run. I might say that out of 21 years that I played Homer Center, I think I was like 8-13 against him. So Ron had a lot of them wins. I know that I was undefeated a couple times, and he like 5 or 6-0, and went to Homer, come home crying. But he was a good coach, and I respected him as much as anybody else I ever coached against.
I don't think any of the rivalries are the same anymore with everything that's going on, but that truly was a great rivalry back in the day.
Well, I go to Blairsville every Friday night, down there when they're home games. And I don't know, maybe it's me, there's something going on, but, just seeing the fans around and standing down in the end zone all the time, it just doesn't seem the same, because when I come out of that locker room when I was coaching, it was like everybody in the world was cheering and screaming and hollering and all that. There was something there between you and the teams. And of course, that goes to a lot of the other coaches I went against. I think it's because we knew each other a lot.
Ernie, Bernie, thanks for doing this. And more importantly, thank you for the impact that you both have made and continue to make on our young people in Indiana County.
Thank you.
That's the legendary Bernie McCowan, former head coach of the Indiana Little Indians, Ernie Widmar, former coach of the Blairsville Bobcats. They both started at those schools in 1966, and I don't think they talked about it, but they both retired in the same year, 1986, after successful, tremendous careers for the Little Indians and the Bobcats. All right, Todd. A little bit of history there as we go back in time with two legendary coaches, Indiana's Bernie McCowan and the Blairsville Bobcats' Ernie Widmar. And now back to you with more of the Luther Ford Lincoln Coach's Corner.
All right, Mark, thanks so much. It is indeed the Luther Ford Lincoln Coach's Corner program, AM 1450 WDAD Indiana, 100.3 FM online, the sports channel, WDADradio.com, and good morning to you. Going to come back, give you the scoreboard from last night, set you up with some scheduling. We'll talk about the Ligonier Valley Marion Center playoff game last night, and we'll have some previews of games tonight. Well, yeah, one of them anyway. We got actually two of them. We've got the West Shamokin coach, John McCullough, will be joining us in our next half hour. And we also have the two coaches involved in the game that we'll have on Cat Country 106.3 FM tonight, Salzburg playing against Penns Manor. So that is all on the way. A conversation with Jack Benedict, too, the original host of the Coach's Corner program 50 years ago. Thanks for being with us here this morning. The Luther Ford Coach's Corner program rolls on.
SUV Season's in full swing at Luther Ford, and Ford and Luther Ford have just released amazing deals on America's top-selling brand.
Always unstoppable Ford SUVs. And with the fall season upon us, and I dare say winter not far behind, now's the time to take delivery on a new Ford SUV.
Just announced during SUV season, get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2018 Ford Escape, plus $2,000 in additional savings. Includes $500 Ford bonus cash, $500 Conquest cash, and $1,000 in additional Ford credit bonus cash.
You can also lease a 2018 Ford Escape SE 4-wheel drive for just $219 a month for 36 months with $2,629 due at signing.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for red carpet lease or Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
See the Escape and the complete lineup of SUVs in Ford Tough Trucks during SUV season at Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
And remember, shop 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
Hi, this is Jim Struzzi, candidate for state representative. I've enjoyed meeting so many of you at front doors, fairs, festivals, and other events across the 62nd District, and I've listened to you. I'm excited to get to work on day one helping to create jobs, match education with opportunity, and eliminate the burden of property taxes. I will work hard to make all of our lives better.
Vote Jim Struzzi. Jim Struzzi will make a great state representative.
This is Jim Struzzi asking for your vote on Tuesday. Thank you.
Paid for by Friends of Jim Struzzi.
Celebrating its 50th season, this is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner.
Hour number 2 of the Coaches Corner program, brought to you as always by Luther Ford of Homer City. Let's get to the scoreboard from last night. District 6 Class A, first round action, Homer Center, beating Bishop McCort 21-0 last night. And in overtime, United with a 14-6 victory over Purchase Line. Double-A, District 6 last night. The two Rams, the Richland Rams, the Ligonier Valley Rams, both big winners. Richland over West Branch 61-7. Ligonier Valley a 41-0 win over Marion Center. Triple-A, Class A semifinals, Bald Eagle area 47, Huntington 27 last night. District 5 Class A, Shade over Winber 44-8, and Double-A out of District 5, Chestnut Ridge 49, Berlin Brothers Valley 7. And just because we can, District 9 Class A quarterfinals, Kerwinsville 26, Elk County Catholic 0. 6 games in the eastern half of the state in Districts 1, 2, 3, and 11 were postponed to today. So a lot of action happening out there. Interesting thing about that is finding officials.
Yeah, the officials, and they're still going to struggle finding decent fields because it's still going to be raining today.
Yeah, it is. All right, so there are games on the schedule today. District 6 AAA, Westmont Hilltop plays Forest Hills. That's a matchup of 3-2. Forest Hills, the home team. Double-A, District 6. Number 3, Bellwood Annis hosting number 6, West Shamokin out of the Heritage Conference. Number 5, Southern Huntington visiting number 4 seed, Penns Valley. Class A today. 10th seed Conemaugh Valley at number 7, Claysburg Kimmel. And in a game you'll hear on Cat Country 106.3 FM, number 9, Salzburg at number 8, Penns Manor. District 5, Conemaugh Township at Tussey Mountain today. Myersdale and Double-A will play at Everett. All right, so lots of things to talk about. We'll get into the schedule for next week as this hour rolls along. We've got a lot to do. We have the Ligonier Valley Rams Marion Center Stingers game to catch up on here this morning. And also this morning we will have conversation with Jack Benedict, who started this program 50 years ago here on WDAD. And we have preview interviews with John McCullough of West Shamokin and the two coaches involved in our Cat Country game tonight, Salzburg's Mike Lazier and Penns Manor's Bill Packer. That is all on the way here. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450, WDID, 100.3 FM. And online, you can listen to us on your computer at the Sports Channel at WDADradio.com.
SUV season is in full swing at Luther Ford, and if you're in the market for an SUV or America's top-selling pickup, listen up because just released,
always unstoppable, the Ford F-150. And with the fall season upon us, and I dare to say winter not far behind, check out the full lineup of F-150s at Luther Ford, Indiana County's truck headquarters for over 60 years.
The F-150 is the Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and right now, just announced, get 0.9% APR for 60 months, plus in addition, get $2,800 bonus cash and an additional $500 Ford credit bonus cash.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for red carpet lease or Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
See the huge selection of F-150s and the complete lineup of SUVs during SUV season, going on now at Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
And remember, shop 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
The Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDID and 100.3 FM, and on the sports channel at WDIDradio.com. You know, Tony Michaels is here. Jukebox Saturday happens right after this program every week. Tony, I'm sad to inform you today that this is our last program.
Sorry to hear that, Todd. I know how much you enjoy being here every Saturday.
But Jukebox Saturday comes up. I just want to thank you for putting up with us, because I know that it's not an easy thing to do when you've got characters like me and Ward and sometimes Mark Burdig coming in.
Well, no comparisons there to the other famous trio known as the Three Stooges, but no, just kidding, Todd. I enjoy listening to you and Ward every week, and it's an honor to work with such pros as you guys. All kidding aside, seriously.
Oh, listen to him. Man, I can't even do anything for him today, and he's talking like that.
Put the check in the mail, please.
Jukebox Saturday. You got a theme today?
MJ14, 14 million sellers from Michael Jackson.
There you go. There you go. That's Jukebox Saturday. Starts at 10 o'clock this morning. It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program right now. We still got some work to do. Chuck Clark had some to do last night, as a matter of fact. He went to Greensburg-Salem, actually to Greensburg to Offutt Field. That's where Greensburg-Salem plays its football, but that's where the Ligonier Valley Rams last night had to move their game because of field conditions to take on the Marion Center Stingers. It's another District 6 playoff Heritage Conference matchup, and here's Chuck's recap.
Well, here at Offutt Field in Greensburg, it's all Ligonier Valley as the Rams shut out the Marion Center Stingers 41-0, and the coach was just pretty much what we've seen this entire season from this Ligonier team.
Well, there's no doubt about it, Chuck. They got a lot of weapons. They dominated this game as they've dominated most games throughout the year. Very well coached, very physical, very athletic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
barring anything unforeseen, they should go far into the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But I think they all realize tougher games lie ahead, and I don't think there were any real shockers here tonight. It would have taken an extraordinary effort from Marion Center with some breaks, some turnovers. It just didn't happen. It just wasn't going to happen. So hats off to Ligonier. On to the next one. I believe it's going to be the winner of West Shamokin and Bellwood Annis, and some of my sources tell me it may be here next week, so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, Ligonier Valley started out very quickly at the 11:01 mark. It was Kiri Miller, a 23-yard touchdown run to put them up ahead 7-0. 10:03 to play. Aaron Totino, a 7-yard touchdown pass. 2-point conversion made it 15-0. Kiri Miller, a 1-yard touchdown pass at the end of the first quarter, 22-0. They added a Totino 24-yard touchdown catch and run in the third quarter to put it to 38. Miller, a 19-yard touchdown run with 1:28 left in the third quarter, 34-0. John Caldwell, a 10-yard touchdown run with 8:06 to play. Final score 41-0. Passing the football for Marion Center's Gavin Palco. 4 of 18. He was intercepted 5 times. For Ligonier Valley, John Caldwell, 7 of 16, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pass was intercepted. With the win, Ligonier Valley improves to 11-0. They go on to the next round of the playoffs. For the Marion Center Stingers, it was their first playoff appearance in some time. They finished the season at 5-6. Again, our final score, Ligonier Valley 41, Marion Center 0.
All right, Chuck, and after the game, he's able to catch up with both of the coaches involved in that contest. Roger Beidel is the head coach of the Ligonier Valley Rams.
Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner program. Roger Beidel, pretty much what you set out to do, you were able to accomplish tonight.
Well, our kids had a pinpoint laser focus this week, and I can't say enough about what they did and how they overcame a lot of adversity with practice conditions, and then the change of the venue and all the different distractions that could have maybe pulled them away from the task at hand, but they certainly didn't have any of those issues this evening and played fantastic, and I couldn't be prouder of a group of kids, especially throughout the game, as a coach, I got to see team over self numerous times tonight, and that's what we preach. And that we said, regular season's over. The only thing that matters now is that ability. We don't care who scores. We don't care how many times those people score. It's team over self, win, move on to the next round, and stay focused. And there were many instances of that tonight. Johnny Caldwell, our senior captain quarterback, there he is. He's got an interception right in his hands on 4th down. He catches it and just throws it to the ground. I mean, yeah, he could have padded his stat, gotten an interception there, gotten a sticker for his helmet. But, again, he's going to show that senior leadership. And whenever you start to see that and your kids are starting to do that, it becomes contagious. And then this is the result of that type of energy flowing through the team.
Came out, you scored early, had a comfortable lead at halftime.
I wish we'd have been able to get that one extra point. We missed 2 extra points in the first half. But, again, our kids came out, executed. That first drive was perfect. That put some pressure on the other team. Then we get the big special teams play, and things just kind of snowballed from there. And then we were able to make some big plays, pushing the ball down the field, and especially our defense. They hit a couple plays. They had that scramble drill. They threw the ball back across the field. Kids are hustling, make the tackle, make them snap the ball again, and preserve the shutout. And that's only a second shutout that we've had all season long. And it was really important to our kids tonight to get that.
And your defense comes up with 5 picks.
Well, 5, and if you think about it, Chuck, the 6th one was called for a pass interference, and the 7th one Johnny Caldwell had in his hands, and again he threw it to the ground on purpose. So those kids really came up well, made some big plays, and my son, he's over here laughing because we have an ongoing bet. When I was a senior in high school, as a linebacker, I had 6 interceptions. So we said, until he passes that or ties it in our house, then I still have bragging rights, and I should, just seeing that I was a linebacker and he's a defensive back.
How much of a plus was it playing on an artificial surface tonight?
Well, not just for us, but for both teams. It's one of those things where you can't allow. You want the game to be decided on the field, and you don't want the field to decide the difference of the game. And again, I can't say enough about the support we get from our administration, our principal, athletic director, and then the graciousness of Greensburg-Salem to say, sure, here you go. Basically, they said, here's the keys. This is a fantastic, top-notch facility. I'm sure you guys had a good time up in the booth. You probably would have enjoyed being in the Weller booth a little bit more, tongue-in-cheek, but great facility, and this is just what you want at this time of year. You don't want the fields to be a factor, and ours is to the point it's really unplayable.
Is there a possibility you could come back here next week?
I don't know about being here because this is technically out of District 6. I know that they're going to want those games in District 6, but I have a high certainty level that we're going to be on a carpet someplace and not really at Weller Field. It's just not a good decision. To do that at this point. If the field was in a good shape at all, it'd be one thing, but it's really not. And ultimately, that's what it's all about, is giving the kids the best opportunity to compete.
Well, Coach, congratulations. Keep it going. Undefeated season behind you. Appalachian Conference Championship behind you. 1 district playoff win behind you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Roger Bottle, head coach of the Ligonier Valley Rams. Todd, back to you with more of our Coach's Corner program.
All right, Chuck, and we're going to put you right back to work talking with Adam Rising, the head coach of the Marion Center Stingers, who opened some eyes this year around the Heritage Conference.
First round of the district playoffs, Marion Center Stingers shut out by Ligonier, but Coach Adam Rising, you have to be exceptionally proud of this group of young men that have carried the Marion Center flag this season.
Absolutely, Chuck. I'm very, very proud of our guys, as much as this one hurts, as much as it's hurtful and emotional for our seniors. We've made leaps and bounds for our program, from way back in December when I got hired to where we're at, just from the belief, the excitement, the confidence. And we to put 5 wins up on the board this year. Definitely would have liked to have a few more, but all in all, I'm very, very proud of our effort. From the kids, the community, to support my coaching staff, just for being solely committed with our Marion Center football program and getting it going in the right direction.
Now, what does this do for you as your first-year coach, coming in through the season and getting to that first playoff game?
it just creates more and more excitement. It creates that excitement when we got kids saying, "Hey, coach, when are you going to open up the weight room after season?" Our guys understanding the importance of off season, and truly hats off to a lot of our seniors and underclassmen that really bought into that this year. We had a lot of guys in the weight room working on speed and agility, and getting together a lot in the summer and working on 7-on-7s and passing and so forth. So it just fires us up. I think it fires, more importantly, our younger guys. These seniors paved the road for our younger guys to see some of the things that we need to do to get better, to be a competitor every year in, year out at this district level, and obviously within our conference. And so it does, Chuck. It brings a brand new excitement with me, and usually we wait until after the holidays, but it's going to be a short little break, and we're going to get right back to work.
It was a tough night for your offense, especially throwing the football. Was there anything special that the Ligonier defense was showing?
They're so well balanced. I mean, they're tough up front. They got the guys behind it, the cover guys that get up in your face and force you, and want to spread the football a little bit, and trying to establish the time up front to get your eyes downfield and make plays. Unfortunately, we turn the ball over way too many times, especially in some critical situations. And defensively and offensively from their aspect, they're just a very well-balanced football team. It's going to be hard for anyone to defend throughout the districts. I mean, the run game's solid. Caldwell throws spot-on balls, and have an athlete like Tatino that can go up and get it, and the Sheeter boy and so forth. But as I said, I'm just very, very proud of our kids and the growth and the progress that we've made, and just a fine group of young men. And kudos to the parents with these guys. We're such a awesome, teachable, coachable group of kids that definitely want to maintain and maintain relationships with. And these guys know they're once they're a Stinger, they're always welcome back. And it's rewarding as a coach to have that relationship with players.
You were down the whole evening, but it was good to see people like Zach Hicks, Garrett Wells, Austin Reinhardt. They were putting out and running that football right to the final whistle.
Yeah, our kids never quit. They never quit, and those are some tough kids. Those, Reinhardt and Hicks. And I'd go on and on with all our seniors that we're going to miss: Parcell, Devin Linkenfelder, Aaron Brewer, Andy Steele, Brendan Rossiter, Brant Leidig that's been out for us. I mean, just great. Bruce Gromley, great seniors that have really paved the way, and I'm very thankful to have a group of young men. It was my first year as a head coach, to have the opportunity to coach those guys.
And you have a good core of people coming back.
Yeah, we sure do. We got a lot of nice juniors coming back. We got just a handful of sophomores that are going to have to work hard, and our freshman class is a very they're a nice class as well. We got good numbers in our freshman class, and some kids come up out of 8th grade that I'm excited to have in the varsity program. So we're losing some key seniors, but we got some guys underneath that I know are hungry and ready to get back to work here shortly.
Coach, congratulations on the season.
Thanks a lot, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Adam Rising, head coach of the Marion Center Stingers.
Thanks, Chuck, and by golly, Adam Rising, thanks so much. You did a heck of a job this year, and thanks for being with us on Coach's Corner. All of our coaches, of course, as this is our last program of the year. But, Ward, what a job he did with the Stingers.
I thought we had the original coaches show at Luther that he was very impressive. I had a little discussion with him. I could see he definitely had his head on straight, knew what he wanted to do out there. And, there's some good athletes running around the hallways out there too, and I'm sure he's going to be chasing them down. He's committed to making that program work, and they had a lot of people surprised at the turnaround already for Marion Center, so look out for them.
Absolutely. They win 5 games this year, 9:18 in the morning, and it is the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program. Got to get on our ponies here because we've got other games coming up tonight. We've got John McCullough, the head coach of West Shamokin, coming up. Ligonier Valley beat Marion Center last night. Their next opponent will be the winner of tonight's game between West Shamokin and Bellwood Addis. It's on the way.
With interventional cardiology, services that previously had to be done in Pittsburgh now are available at the Indiana Regional Medical Center's Center for Cardiac and Vascular Care. From heart catheterizations to balloon angioplasties and stents, the Center for Cardiac and Vascular Care is saving lives. Here's Dr. Raj Pillai.
This changes the community, and this changes the hospital. This is about the patients and the community we serve.
The Center for Cardiac and Vascular Care at the Indiana Regional Medical Center. Always great care.
Are you tired of the middle class being forgotten by politicians? Do you want to see tax reform that benefits hardworking Pennsylvanians? Would you like to see more money in your pocket?
I'm Logan Delafiore, and I'm running to be your next state representative. If you answered yes to any of these questions, I ask for your vote on November 6th. I understand the issues facing our middle class. I'll work to create jobs that generate living wages for my fellow Indiana County residents. I'll fight for tax reform that actually creates savings for middle-class Pennsylvanians. And most importantly, I'll always put people first.
Paid for by Friends of Logan Delafiore.
The Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDID, 100.3 FM, the Trib Live High School Sports Network, has a direct link, as does WDIDradio.com, to the sports channel, so you can listen on your computer. And all the programs are archived from this season, too, so you want to go back and listen to them, you can. All right, John McCullough, head coach of the West Shamokin Wolves. They've got a tough task ahead of them tonight, a trip to play the historic program, Bellwood Antis, tonight. The Blue Devils, they're always good, Ward.
Oh, great tradition. They really did Class A a favor by getting bumped up to Double A. But, yeah, John's going to have his hands full, but they welcome the challenge out there, I'm sure.
They absolutely do. Let's hear from the coach about this football game tonight.
He is John McCullough, the head coach of the West Shamokin Wolves. And, Coach, you're getting set for the game tonight. Bellwood Antis, it's one of those legendary programs in all of high school football in Pennsylvania, and I don't think from your guy's standpoint that's something to get over, but you realize that you're going against a big time school, don't you?
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. I mean I definitely realized the history that Bellwood brings into this. They're one of those programs that they have a great tradition, a lot of district titles. That we can't go in there and be awestruck by it, and we have a game to play, and I think if our kids come ready to play, which I know they will, that it should be a pretty good ball game.
Well, let's talk about them as a football team. What are the offensive challenges that you're going to face tonight against that Bellwood defense?
Well, their defense is real strong. They're very similar to in style and scheme, to us. They're a base 4-4. Their interior defensive linemen are really good, and same with their two inside linebackers. And it all starts there. So it's going to be difficult, to run against them. But, we're going to have to find a way to make plays and possess the ball and put it in the end zone. But yeah, I mean it's a definite challenge for us.
Yeah, you think about the approach that you could take with it. One of the good things about your team is whether you're sweeping it with the jet there, the jet sweep, or you're trying to bring it up the middle with the run game, or you're just trying to maybe throw over top of it. You got kids they've got skills. They can do those sorts of things.
Right. I mean, we do. I mean, we have guys that can beat you in a number of different ways. So we'll see how the game
We're losing you, Coach. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. All right. We lost you there for a second, but you were talking about just seeing how the game unfolds and what opportunities there are for you. As a coach on the sideline, you really have to look for those and adapt, don't you?
Absolutely. Every possession is different, and you have to be able to adjust on the fly. So, we'll see. I mean, if we're successful with one thing, Bellwood will probably find a way to slow it down, and we have to encounter. So, it's a constant chess match.
Yeah. When you are on defense, the Bellwood offense is coming at you. What are the things that they're going to try to do?
Well, they're very balanced. Obviously everything starts with stopping the run, and they present a lot of different challenges, in a run game. One play you'll see them in their pro style offense, and they'll come out and spread. You'll see a little bit of wing tee sprinkled in there.
We're losing him again. Still there, Coach?
Yep, I'm still here, Todd.
Okay, all right. We're having all kinds of cell problems here this morning, but yeah, their defense, their offense rather, they're an attack that can do a lot of different things, a lot like yours. They can throw, they can run.
Right. Like I said, their quarterback, he gets everything started. Very good runner, accurate passer. So he's the one.
Oh boy, there he goes again. John, you still there? John?
Hello?
Oh, we're getting you and we're losing you. So,
jeez, man.
I'll tell you what. Let's just wrap it up this way here on this edition of Coach's Corner. You had players that were banged up in the middle of the season as you got toward the latter part of the season, and missing some other guys. Who's available to you tonight? Who's not going to be able to play? Are all hands on deck, I guess, is the question.
We are pretty much all hands on deck right now. Besides the regular bumps and bruises and soreness that you have at this point in the season, we're pretty good.
All right, Coach. Well, we look forward to it. Hey, it's our last program for the Luther Ford Coach's Corner. I want to thank you for being with us all season long.
Thanks, Todd.
There's John McCullough working hard to stay on the air with us here. I tell you what,
tough.
Putting the coach through it here this morning. 25 minutes after 9 o'clock. So they play Bellwood Antis tonight at Bellwood Antis. And that's just, it's not just another, I wouldn't want to say it's another level of football. It's another level of football experience for these guys because getting to Bellwood Antis and playing in that historic stadium against that team, seeing the kind of support they have, they do it right, I guess.
Yeah,
is
the
best way to put it.
school's right in the town, and the people just pour out. It's a big event, a tough place to play, and a good program. So it's going to be a good experience for West Shamokin. We'll just hope they can rise to the challenge.
And the winner gets Ligonier Valley next week. All right, the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program rolls on. We have a game happening tonight, as a matter of fact, and it's going to be on our affiliate, Cat Country 106.3 FM. Number 9 seed Salzburg, number 8 seed Penns Manor. We'll talk about it. We'll hear from the coaches next.
There's a lot to like about the 2018 Ford Focus at Luther Ford in Homer City.
As a matter of fact, what's not to like?
Safety's important, and the Ford Focus is ahead of the class with 5-star IIHS safety ratings.
If prices are killing you at the pump, you'll also like 34 MPG Highway.
And if affordability's an issue, Luther Ford has you covered there as well.
Just announced, get 0% APR for 60 months, plus you'll receive $1,000 Ford credit bonus cash.
And if you like leasing, you'll love this. Lease a 2018 Ford Focus SE for only $169 a month for 36 months with just $19.29 cash due at signing.
You heard right. $169 a month for 36 months with only $19.29 due at signing.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
For all offers, take new retail delivery from Luther Ford by January 2nd.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
Open late till 8, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
And open 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
Robotic surgery. It's changing medicine. It's changing recovery. And Indiana Regional Medical Center is leading that change. But what's that mean to you, the patient? It means smaller incisions. It means faster recovery. By adding robotic surgery to the newest and best operating suites in the area, surgeons can now operate with smaller incisions, and while they work, they can now see 10 times better than the human eye. Robotic surgery at Indiana Regional Medical Center, IRMC. Make the decision for smaller incisions and recover faster.
All righty, the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program. I'm going to roll on here for a second, but I've lost my mouse on my computer, and so I need to work a little bit here to get it back so we can get our coaches' interviews for our next segment. Ward, the West Shamokin Wolves in action tonight. We heard about that against Bellwood Antis, but the game that we're going to hear on Cat Country 106.3 FM, and I did get my mouse back here, is going to feature the Bill Packer-led Penns Manor Comets at number 8 in District 6 Class A against the number 9 Salzburg Trojans of Mike Leisure. These two teams played a game where Penns Manor got up really big and then Salzburg scored 20 unanswered. Penns Manor was just a score away from a mercy rule game. Salzburg scores 20 unanswered in the fourth quarter, makes it close, and Salzburg has that kind of team. They're a team to be scared of, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they can score any time from anywhere. They've got some terrific athletes offensively. Their goal tonight, I think, is to try to keep the Comets close. Don't let them get away from you so that you can use that offensive ability to maybe get the upper hand. That's a game there that, if you're Salzburg, you'd like to get a lead. I think that's big this time of year, and you get ahead, force the other team to chase you. So it's going to be at Penns Manor, so the Comets certainly going to have the, as they say, the home field advantage, but that's a turf field. They're going to love that.
That game back in September was on Salzburg's field, and Penns Manor won it. Bill Packer is the head coach of his Comets on the turf tonight in Kenwood. And he is Coach Bill Packer. The Penns Manor Comets tonight, the Salzburg Trojans, and it's the first round of the District 6 playoffs. Coach, I know after you've been reviewing the film of this first game that you played back in September against Salzburg, you can't ever relax against that team, can you?
You can't. We had some early turnovers early in that game, and we got some early scores, and we went up pretty big on them early. And if it wouldn't have been for some of those turnovers and we got, we would have been in trouble, because second half Salzburg really came out. They played hard. They just beat us. And when you have a kid like Gibbons that can throw the ball and get a team back in it, this Lipinski kid has 34 receptions for over 500 yards. The Kaiser boy has 23 catches for over 300 yards, and then you have that back in Cindric who does everything for him. So they're a big threat, and we're going to have to really play good to win this game.
Well, you were just one score away from putting that into the mercy rule, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. It was 42-13 actually in the fourth quarter, and it started raining hard. They went into a power eye, and they just started moving the ball on us, and they drove it down the field, and they just kept scoring, having some nice plays, nice runs, and again, Gibbons threw some nice passes, and before you know it, it came down to the 2-point conversion for them to be within one score, and we stopped them on that, but we ended up beating them 42-33.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what happens when a team starts to believe in itself, and certainly Salzburg has found that element to its game here recently. Tell me about your team and how these last few weeks have gone for them. Your guys have found some things too.
Yeah, offensively, we seem to we're doing a pretty good job moving the ball. Even you go back 2 weeks, Northern Cambria, we moved the ball up and down the field on them. We just didn't finish the drives off, so that's something that we really have to do. Matt's really been running really skinny through the holes, and he's been running hard. And you have Tommy that's all over the field, can do things running, catching, or going at the quarterback spot. So Tommy's another great asset for us there. And defensively, against Northern, our tackling was not good at all, and we were tackling too high, and they were moving us down the field. But we worked on that hard the last 2 weeks, and against Berlin, I thought we did a really nice job of tackling low and getting 11 guys to the ball. So hopefully our defense can play well. The Cindric boy runs hard for them, and if you don't tackle him low, he's going to run like Northern Cambria, hard runners, and he'll get 4 or 5 extra yards on you if you don't hit him low.
Coach, you told me earlier this season that you thought that probably your Penns Manor team, in terms of the physical size of the players, is smaller than any other team on your schedule this year. That really demands that they play positional football and pay attention to their responsibilities, doesn't it?
It does. It's so important. if you're not in your right spots and not doing your jobs, one guy makes a mistake and you're in big trouble. But again, we are so undersized. We're not big at all, and a lot of teams can push you around. So if you're not quick enough or get in your gaps and stay low, you're going to get pushed around. And we've been good times, and then other times we get too high and we get pushed around. So hopefully we come out and again, we're playing a nice-sized Salzburg team, and if we don't do our jobs, you could be in trouble.
Yeah. I wouldn't guess that you wouldn't mind if you got yourself another kickoff return for a touchdown either. Hey, what are the keys for you, for your ball club to win tonight?
We feel that, again, we have to be very good defensively because, they're a very good offensive team with the guys that I just talked about earlier. Again, if we play a good defensive ball game, keep them off the board, and we have to sustain our blocks and offensively and finish our drives off. We've been moving the ball, but we haven't been able to finish a lot of drives off. So stay away from the penalties. That's been a killer again. And sustain our drives and finish them off, and we'll feel pretty good about it.
Well, we've seen your team play some pretty solid football this season. Every team is going to stumble from time to time, well, most every team. But, Coach, we're going to see you tonight. We'll be doing the game on Cat Country 106.3 FM. Lovely night for football in Kenwood. We'll talk to you then.
All right, Todd. Thanks a lot.
There's Bill Packer, the head coach of the Penns Manor Comets. On the other sideline tonight will be Mike Leisure and his Salzburg Trojans. And the Trojans head coach, Mike Leisure, joins us. Coach, tonight, the Penns Manor Comets, special night, isn't it? To make the playoffs, number one, but then to actually get out onto the football field and feel that atmosphere, number two, that has to be a special thing for your Trojans.
Yes, it's definitely exciting out here for us. It's been an up and down year, a lot of off the field stuff that went on, but the kids really showed up this year when we needed to. Had some big wins that put us in this situation to get to a playoff game, and looking forward to the opportunity.
Hey, how about that game last week? Let's talk a little bit about the fact that the Heritage Conference went 10-0, and your guys went out there and they did it too.
Yeah, it was the Heritage Sweep, which was, that's good to see your conference being able to do that. And our kids played a tough defensive game, which was good to see. We haven't done that too much the past going back to a couple years ago. But it was good to see us play a physical game heading into the playoffs. And then when you look at your conference, the way, you had some tough teams in the conference. So we had some tough competition all year, and, from top to bottom. And, so that got us ready to play Penns Manor. So we're looking forward to the opportunity.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the fact that you played Penns Manor before, and I want to get to that in a minute, but I want you to compare what your team was able to do defensively last week against Black Lake Valley, and does that translate at all into tonight against Penns Manor?
The physicality part, I think that will translate, but scheme-wise, it's a total different operation. Penns Manor's got a great offense. They got athletes all over the field, so scheme-wise, it's a little different, but, the physicality, that can transfer over, and we were physical last week, so hopefully we see that, out of our kids tonight.
All right, so take me back to September. Penns Manor builds that big lead. They use some turnovers. Obviously, no coach wants his team to give the ball away, and certainly that's something I'm sure you've addressed this week, but then you make the fourth quarter comeback. Talk first about what the challenge was defensively for your team against Penns Manor that allowed them to score that many points.
Well, right off the bat, they first time around they took a pick six back, and that kind of set the tone for that, the way that first quarter went. But they, they're a great team. Like I said, they got skill guys all over the field, so they're tough to defend. But we had some breakdowns that we need to correct. On our end, and hopefully if we can do that, we can stay competitive in this game and then have a chance down the stretch. That's all you can ask for against a great Penns Manor team.
Yeah, one of the things about Penns Manor is they're not particularly big, but they really know what they're doing blocking-wise, don't they?
Yeah, scheme-wise, I mean, and offensively, defensively, they do a tremendous job. They're well coached. So it's just going to come down to, us being in the right spot and, making plays when we need to. And the kids got to stay positive the whole way through, and we'll see how it plays out.
Seen a couple of interesting things from your team the last couple of weeks. Of course, Dylan had that big night, and Slapinski. Of course, it all keys off of Josh Gibbons. You bring other fellas out of the backfield, get the football into their hands. You have guys that can turn the ball up the field quickly, and I know that that's pretty gratifying as a coach to see guys that get that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We have some kids that if we get out into open space, they can make plays. The Kaiser kid as well, Slapinski, Cindric, even Davey Staller on the backside. We got guys that if they can find some open space, they'll have a chance to make plays. It's just a matter with Penn's Manor finding that open space and getting to it. And they like I said, they do a tremendous job. Athletically, their kids aren't really that big, but they're athletic and they're well coached. And so it's going to be a tough challenge, but we'll get our kids ready.
It's going to be fun tonight, Coach. We'll see you on the field.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's a 6:15 airtime tonight on Cat Country 106.3 FM. Of course, that's also on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. It's catcountry1063fm.com if you want to go to the direct link, no period. catcountry1063fm.com. And it is Salzburg. It is Penn's Manor. It's another Heritage Conference District 6 playoff matchup. Boy, the Heritage Conference did it up big this week. People looked at the records and they thought, boy, this league is kind of down this year, but it turns out they were just beating up on each other, Ward.
That's pretty much the case. I thought they'd be down it too, and the sweeping through the Westpac the way they did, that opened a lot of eyes, I think. It has always been a good Class A conference, and I think you're starting to see the results of that. Finally, they are starting to make some inroads outside of the conference, and that's good to see.
Yeah, well, tonight we'll have that game again on Cat Country. 6:15 will be the airtime. I'll be there along with Jerry Rossai tonight, bringing you the action.
Rossai man is back.
And adding up the numbers as well. Hey, coming up, this is the 50th season for the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, and the original host of the program 50 years ago was Mr. Jack Benedict. He's on the road right now today to play against he's not playing. He's going to call the game between IUP and Edinboro. But I bet you the old running back, Jack Benedict, could do it. At any rate, the other day had a chance to sit down with him and Mark Burdick and talk about the history of the Coaches Corner program. That's coming up next on the Luther Ford Coaches Corner, AM 1450 WDID, 100.3 FM, and online, the sports channel at WDIDradio.com.
There's a lot to like about the 2018 Ford Focus at Luther Ford in Homer City.
As a matter of fact, what's not to like?
Safety's important, and the Ford Focus is ahead of the class with 5-star IIHS safety ratings.
If prices are killing you at the pump, you'll also like 34 MPG Highway.
And if affordability's an issue, Luther Ford has you covered there as well.
Just announced, get 0% APR for 60 months, plus you'll receive $1,000 Ford credit bonus cash.
And if you like leasing, you'll love this. Lease a 2018 Ford Focus SE for only $169 a month for 36 months with just $19.29 cash due at signing.
You heard right. $169 a month for 36 months with only $19.29 due at signing.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
For all offers, take new retail delivery from Luther Ford by January 2nd.
Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
Open late till 8, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
And open 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
Hi, this is Logan Della Fiera, and I'm running to be your next state representative. For far too long, our politicians have put special interest groups and the wealthy ahead of their constituents. I'll put the hardworking people of Indiana County first in Harrisburg. I'll work across party lines to better our community. After all, we don't need pro-Democratic or pro-Republican legislation. We need pro-Indiana County legislation. We need schools that prepare our workforce, tax reform that benefits the middle class, and jobs that pay. I'm Logan Della Fiera, and I'm asking for your vote on November 6th so we can put people first.
Paid for by Friends of Logan Della Fiera.
It is the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program, AM 1450 WDID and 100.3 FM, and also on the sports channel at WDIDradio.com. And this is our final program of our 50th season. Who would have thunk it?
It really went quickly, too, did it not?
It certainly did. And the other day, I had a chance to sit down in the studio with Jack Benedict, the original host of Coach's Corner, who is still broadcasting games, of course, and also with Mark Burdig, who joined the conversation, and we talked about the origins of this program. And this being the final show for a Coach's Corner for this year, it's also the final show of season number 50 of the Luther Ford Coach's Corner. And I asked Mark Burdig and Jack Benedict to stop by and visit with us here this morning because this is not only a significant number, but it's significant, Mark, as you pointed out earlier, that the original host of this program, Jack Benedict, is still calling games on Friday nights and Saturdays too.
Well, maybe not so much Friday anymore, starting in 2019, although we'll have him pinch hit on occasion if need be. He'll roll up his sleeves and get the job done. But, yeah, it is amazing. 3 hosts in 50 years. You think about that. And all 3 of you in 2018 still doing games with Jack here to my left and yourself, Todd, and Chuck Clark. So it's been quite a run for Coach's Corner. I think it's as popular as ever. Obviously, things have changed a lot since 1969, but in the society and the world we live in and all of the technology, but it continues to be a staple. And I know there are many coaches that I interact with during the course of the season that they talk all the time about listening to Coach's Corner.
Yeah, when they were kids even. Jack, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good to be here.
So take us back to 1969 and where Coach's Corner began and how the idea came about. And, well, some of those coaches, a lot of them are still with us.
Yes, exactly. Well, in leaving my station at Connellsville at WCVI, we did a Coach's Corner show, and we did it from a downtown restaurant called the Wonder Bar Restaurant. And what we did, though, the format was different. We had, like, the Connellsville coaches in 1 week, Mount Pleasant, Southmoreland, and we rotated. So it was not the same format. So when I came to Indiana in August of 1969, I proposed this to Ray Goss, the manager. He said, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do it. So we'll do all the coaches. So this is like 2-3 weeks before the season begins. I don't even know where Marion Center, Purchase Land, or any of these places are. So I got the names of the coaches, contacted them, and had their phone numbers, and we proceeded from there, and we got it going. And yes, many of those coaches are still around today.
Yeah, it's amazing. In fact, we heard from 2 of them earlier this morning here on Coach's Corner. And it's
Ron Coleman earlier this year.
That's true. We had Ron on earlier this year. Mark, as this program has unfolded, of course, there have been a lot of changes just in terms of personnel, the coaches themselves, and here the very few changes in the program hosts. But it's a good formula, isn't it?
It is a good formula. And, you just stumbled on something. Jack maybe could talk to this point. Not only have there been only 3 hosts, the show's been hosted in more studios than there have been hosts. Right? True. Here at 9th and Philly, 5th Street, maybe Leininger Hall up the street.
Leininger Hall, yes.
So that's 3.
That's 3 right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
yeah, that's interesting. And, the key was, I always thought, was for the coaches to get their kids' names on.
Mm-hmm.
That was the key, because the parents, the grandparents, and people are listening, and that was the idea. And they went along with it beautifully. And the thing, what I did in those days, a lot of times I would record some of them on reel-to-reel beforehand, not all of them. And, this is BC, before everything, before computers.
How many of them were live, Jack?
Well, the only ones who are deceased are...
No, I meant when you started the show, when you did the interviews, how many did you call on the spot?
It varied, depending on the schedule, and I would call in advance, and I would call, and Ernie Widmar's wife would answer, and I'd say, hey, tell Ernie this is Jack, I'll call him at 9:20. 9:20 on Saturday. Okay, fine, no problem. So we did that, and the only one, Bernie McCowan had Saturday morning practices, so we would get him after the game. So that would be...
And I think that's changed, too, because a lot of teams either had, videos, film sessions, the old reel-to-reel films, right, on Saturday mornings, or sometimes Ron Coleman it wouldn't be uncommon for him to call practice if he wasn't real happy with his squad.
That's true.
Yeah, so it varied, but I had a format and I had it down as to what the approximate times were, and many times it didn't run for 2 hours, but for an hour. There was no football team at Marion Center, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, the coaches were Bernie McCown, Ernie Widmar, Ron Coleman, Frank Kravetsky at United. Purchase
He's
Line,
still doing well.
Yeah. Stan Bem was Purchase Line's coach. And that was on a point basis as far as the Appalachian Conference was concerned. There was no Appalachian Bowl at that
In the
time.
old Western Conference, right?
Yeah. Western Conference for Indiana. And Bob Flick was the coach. The late Bob Flick was the coach at Salzburg. And then Casey Lytle came on the scene the next year.
Yeah.
And, of course, Pat Corrigan is passed at Penn's Manor. And then we had Julius Masurda.
A lot of these, through the years, I've seen these wives. And I can't tell you how many times I woke up with Jack Benedict.
Yeah, we don't want to spread that rumor around.
Well, a few years ago, we actually did a show where we talked to the wives of the coaches. A few years ago, we had most of the original coaches in at that time. There's a person that was involved with this program for a lot of years because you hosted for 20 years.
Right.
I think I calculated earlier this year that this is either my 26th or 27th year in the program. Chuck and I hosted it together. We would alternate weeks when I first started doing the program, but I think this is either my 26th or 27th year doing it. Jackie Watkins was sat out at the front desk down at North 5th Street, and while I was on the air with the coach, she was calling the next coach. So a big salute to Jackie because she was very much involved in
you
the
guys
coach's
were lucky
corner.
because I had no such help.
Just think how many hands on deck now. I mean, fortunately with technology, we can grab coaches after games, and in the case of Coach Page, Michael takes care of that here, engineering the Wildcat games and captures all that. So now that I think about it, you're overpaid.
Yeah,
it's
patch them all
easy for
together
you.
on
It's
Saturday
so
morning.
easy for you.
Yeah,
well, we didn't have a corporate sponsor as such either as Luther Ford.
Yeah, it was all. I remember listening to the early days. It was all sports boosters, which I also thought. Now I think maybe even more fondly back. That was a great concept, just the sports boosters.
Well, the sports boosters
idea.
at one time, we had as many as 150 at one time.
Isn't that something?
That would rotate.
Shoo.
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
I can still hear them.
I'm so glad that you're able to visit with us today. I know that you've got IUP Edinboro at Edinboro this afternoon.
Get on the bus.
Mark, thanks for coming in and visiting with us as well.
No, I mean, I didn't need to be here because the thanks goes to you, Todd, for all of those years, Jack for the idea, Chuck Clark, and all of the contributors, because it's a joy. As you know, I call you on occasion on a Saturday morning.
6 or 7 times every morning.
But I listen every Saturday morning as much as I can. I even listened when I was heading to the state of Indiana. Now with technology, had it on the Bluetooth. So,
there you go. On the internet, you can hear all over the world.
But thanks, Jack, for the idea, and hopefully many more years to come. Who knows where it'll go as far as what's next for Coach's Corner. We'll try to develop some new ideas too. But thank you guys.
In 50 years, we have no idea how many coaches there have been, but we couldn't do it without them, and we need to thank them as well.
Oh, tremendous.
Just amazing.
Tremendous
They're amazing
cooperation.
gentlemen. They really are. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Mark. It is the Luther Ford Coach's Corner program on AM 1450 WDAD and the Sports Channel, also at WDADradio.com. And indeed it is 9:51. It's 9 away from the top of the hour. The Luther Ford Coach's Corner program, AM 1450 WDAD, 100.3 FM, the Sports Channel as well. We're going to come back, set you up for not only tonight's games, but then we're going to look ahead to next week as well as we wrap up season number 50 of Coach's Corner here on WDAD. Thank you, Jack. Thanks to all of those coaches and their wives, too, for freeing them up on Saturday mornings.
Hi, this is Jim Struzzi, candidate for state representative. I've enjoyed meeting so many of you at front doors, fairs, festivals, and other events across the 62nd District, and I've listened to you. I'm excited to get to work on day one helping to create jobs, match education with opportunity, and eliminate the burden of property taxes. I will work hard to make all of our lives better.
Vote Jim Struzzi. Jim Struzzi will make a great state representative.
Paid for by Friends of Jim Struzzi.
SUV season's in full swing at Luther Ford, and Ford and Luther Ford have just released amazing deals on America's top-selling brand.
Always unstoppable Ford SUVs. And with the fall season upon us, and I dare say winter not far behind, now's the time to take delivery on a new Ford SUV.
Just announced during SUV season, get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2018 Ford Escape, plus $2,000 in additional savings. Includes $500 Ford bonus cash, $500 Conquest cash, and $1,000 in additional Ford credit bonus cash.
You can also lease a 2018 Ford Escape SE 4-wheel drive for just $219 a month for 36 months with $2,629 due at signing.
Security deposit waived. Taxes, title, and license fees extra. Not all buyers will qualify for red carpet lease or Ford credit financing. See dealer for details or call Luther Ford at 1-877-370-6292.
See the Escape and the complete lineup of SUVs in Ford Tough Trucks during SUV season at Luther Ford, Route 119, Homer City.
And remember, shop 24/7 at LutherFord.com.
Celebrating its 50th season, this is the Luther Ford Lincoln Coaches Corner.
Indeed it is. 50 years on the air here on WDID. All right, Ward, so we've got some ground to cover here in our final 6 minutes of the program. Let's start tonight. Penns Manor plays Salzburg, and we'll have it on Cat Country 106.3 FM beginning at 6:15, 7 o'clock kickoff. What do you think?
Well, I think Comets have to control the ball. If they cannot do that, Salzburg gets that offense cooking. It could be a Trojan victory. What a turnaround, too. I mean, they won. To get to this point in the season when they nearly had to fold up the tents, that's incredible and good for them. You know, you want that program to survive. You want them all to do well. And I think that the Westpac sweep really kind of gave them all a real shot in the arm.
Absolutely did. So Josh Gibbons, Dylan Cindric, and the troops, they don't have a lot of guys, but they've got a lot of talented guys on the football field. And as Billy Packer said, Matt Samoji runs skinny.
Yes,
he runs
does.
skinny
That's a
through
great
the
line,
hole.
wasn't it? That's a great line.
All right, so Matt's going to have to run skinny tonight. You can bet Tommy Hamilton's going to make a play somewhere on this field
Well,
tonight,
you know,
too.
and they do prep very well, so they're going to be ready for all the stuff that Salzburg does, and that is quite a bit.
The winner gets Northern Cambria next week at Northern. Also tonight, West Shamokin at Bellwood Antis in Double A.
Well, again, it's West Shamokin has got to have some success offensively. That's all pretty obvious. They've got a good enough defense, but Bellwood, that's a tough place to play. It's going to be a major hill for them to climb. But, you know, they get that opportunity. There's probably a lot of excitement out there. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. So that is one game. The winner will get Ligonier Valley elsewhere in Double A next week. Southern Huntington, Penns Valley, they play today. Richland is waiting in the wings. There are two Rams, the 1 and 2 seeds, Richland and Ligonier Valley, waiting to play their second round opponents and looking forward to playing each other. They better not look too far ahead, though.
No. Penns Valley, believe it or not, they're playing very well. You don't overlook them. I talked about Bellwood as the third team in this battle, but don't overlook Penns Valley either.
Well, don't overlook West Shamokin. They have to play tonight before we determine who plays the two Rams in Class A next week. The winner of tonight's Comets-Trojans matchup will play at number 1 Northern Cambria. Colts resting up, and they need it. They were pretty banged up at the end of this season, so they should come out really fresh and strong.
It's going to be interesting to see with this weather if, in fact, they can even play that game there. And if they cannot, that's going to be a major plus for the Colts that they're not going to have. That's their home field. They'd like to keep it that way, but you know this rain just is not being very conducive to playing on natural surfaces now.
And you're thinking, okay, well, where would they move that game? St. Francis University is a possibility. If the opponent would be Salzburg, could they move it up the road to Penns Manor? Certainly not going to be the Comets playing there. No. But if they do need to move the game, it'll be interesting to find out where.
Be a good option, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Claysburg-Kimmel plays Conemaugh Valley today. The winner gets number 2 seed Juniata Valley. They played some good football this year.
Yeah, they have. Don't know a lot about them, to be honest. But, you know, in Class A this year, I think it's anybody's game. They're all pretty even, so you can't overlook one for the other, really. 2
of next week's matchups are already set. These should be really good football games. United visits number 4 seed Portage on Saturday night.
At Portage, the Lions playing very well. Portage has been so-so this year, so they could be ripe for an upset. And, again, that's another natural surface up there at Portage. Great place to go for broadcasters, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, last year, big upset. Of course, the food's always on the one side of the field. They moved us to the other side.
They did that to us, too. So maybe there's a plot afoot, which we don't care for.
Well, as Kevin Maravito said last night, he said, we only run 2 plays. Until you can stop it, we're going to just keep running those 2 plays. Had a little wrinkle last night, a little read option pitch from Kyle Silk to Hunter Cameron that was just a little bit of a wrinkle. And I thought that was an interesting way that played out, too. Homer Center at Bishop Guilfoyle next week. I think these 2 teams have some sort of history between the two of them.
Yeah, and, Guilfoyle was probably just hoping for this opportunity. So you think they're going to be waiting for the Wildcat. Well, they are, but I think Homer's very happy to be there. It's been that kind of year for him. If they get Logan Williams back, certainly they've got an ace in the hole with Deshaun Robinson based on his play. And they are playing better defense. Todd, I commented on that last night. Tackling much better. Maybe it was the sloppy field, but regardless, they did a better job on defense, shutting out a pretty solid McCourt team.
Mansion Park in Altoona
There's
next
not going to be any
Saturday
mud
night.
there, is there?
No, there's not. There's going to be a lot of fun football, though. And, of course, we'll have all of those games on our Render broadcasting stations next week. Be a lot of fun. All right, so we're wrapping up season number 50 of the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program. We have about a half a minute to go. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of the coaches, number one, for their so cooperative, even when I'm calling them at 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I just appreciate so much that they are so very, very generous with their time. Whether it's Saturday morning or Friday night after a game, you lose a tough game and you have to go talk to me.
Yeah.
But that's not a happy circumstance, I know. So thanks to all of the coaches. Thanks to all of our broadcast partners, Mark Burdick, Chuck Clark, Abditory, you who come in here on Saturday morning and do it for free. Oh, you didn't know it was free?
Yeah,
you thought you were getting paid?
I'm a glutton for punishment. My compliments, however, to you. You do a superb job here, and I'm not just saying that because you're here, but you do. It's something that I would not even attempt. Great prep, great show. Glad to be a very small part of it.
And thanks to all for joining us here in the Luther Ford Coaches Corner program.
Your next favorite song is on its way on AM 1450 WDAD, Indiana, and 100.3 FM.